Welcome back, everyone. So today's fan is a Casablanca Delta, not one, not two, three. Yes, a Delta 3 is actually a thing that exists if you didn't know. Of course, the Delta 2 being possibly the most popular Casablanca fan ever made, right next to the Panama. And the first Delta being the earliest iteration that came in about 1981, I believe, which was basically a 3-speed version of the Zephyr at the time. However, as Hunter bought the company in 96 and then did their own operations in 97, all of these models got a bit of an upgrade with concealed hardware and XLP motors. So, this is one of those cases where the Panamas was switched to the Panama 2. Let's get a shot of the tag here. But the Delta 2 already existed, so the Delta 3 was born. And this is quite a bit of a rare fan because this didn't last for very long. It's not impossibly hard to find, and in fact this is the second one that I've owned. But it's still a pretty neat thing to see. This is a W32 control with RMM4. Start on speed 1. So this fan is from May 29th, 2003. And what's interesting is that a lot of the Delta 3s that have been found are very close in date code. The date code on this one is ENN, E being May and NN being the year of 03. And I've seen at least 2 or 3 other ones that also say ENN. It's also when they stopped putting all the information on the bottom tag and put it on top instead. So this came from Marketplace, per usual. Did not come with a control, unfortunately. I always ask, but sometimes it's too late. This, I think, had been taken down for a while before I had seen it. And it does not wobble, thankfully, but it was, of course, like lying on its blades for a period of time. So the flywheel is just a tad warped. I did a little bit to try and get it back into proper shape. Oil rub bronze finish, if I didn't say that before. I don't know what the most common or least common finishes for these would be, but they came in snow white, brushed nickel, bronze as you see here, and I think there was one more, but I can't remember. The first one of these I found was actually new in box, I think in 2022, but I sold that to another collector because he paid me quite well for it. So, and it worked out anyways because now there's this one. So these were sold at Home Depot's Expo stores, I believe they were called, which was when Home Depot in the early 2000s got into trying to be more of like a showroom or designer like store for stuff involving fans, lights, and maybe some other stuff as well. I'd have to do some more research on that. But this was the product of one of that. This isn't entirely related to this, but it just made me think of this post. Somebody in the Facebook group made a post about their local Home Depot and how sometimes the displays stay like the same, or certain parts of it stay the same even though years pass and all that. And on a line of switches on the wall, there was an IntelliTouch control, which is kind of insane to see in current year, because I'm not sure how long Home Depot sold Casablanca fans for, but it certainly has not been in the past 10 or maybe even 15 years. Similar stuff also happens with people seeing the oldest version of the Hampton Bay Littleton still on the ceiling display, even though that's gone through like a ton of changes and different manufacturers since it was introduced in the late 90s. Already getting a good breeze. There's one blade that's slightly down, but if it doesn't wobble, I don't really care. Other than that, though, this fan is honestly in very, very nice shape. And to be fair, it is about 20 years younger than most of the fans that I show on here, so I didn't even need to do anything to the bearings just because they're not even close to making that noise that fans that are 40 years old do. But it's nice to have ones that have no scratches or anything. I believe this is going to be 6. Yep. So here's high. Another quick note is that I have no idea why there's a rumor circulating around with some people in the community. It's probably people who are less experienced with Casablancas that XLP motors are inferior to K55 ones or any ones they use in the 80s. That's just not true. They perform exactly the same. I've seen a lot of them, and airflow is basically the same. Some would argue it's even more powerful just by a little bit, since they increased the blade pitch once concealed hardware became a thing to 14 to 15 degrees. So if it doesn't look like it's going as fast, it's probably just because it has that extra degree of blade pitch, which surprisingly matters a lot each degree you go up or down because of wind resistance. At its core, I guess this is just a Panama 2 with a different faceplate. But that faceplate makes all the difference. And instead of doing spin down, let's do reverse, but I'm going to stop it as soon as it gets to where the blades are no longer spinning. Let's see how I do. Oh, right on the dime. Okay. Alright everyone, well thank you for watching this Casablanca Delta 3 ceiling fan. Thanks for watching. Ceiling fan spawn. Past tense.